Well, I guess we'll follow a similar structure that we went through the last interview. So, uh, basically, the part that we'll start from is your motivation. So, what got you into programming from the early days? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Jeez. So, Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Right. Right. What? So initially you wanted to be a technician. So, and even though you were dabbling with programming at some level back when you were young, very young, you still chose to be a technician initially. So why? Why not programming from the start? Mm-hmm. All right. Could you give an example in code? Mm-hmm. Right. Right. I gotcha. So what was your first job? You said you were starting with VB 4, and how long since that did it take for you to actually get a job? So how long did it take you from to get from starting learning VB 4 all the way to getting into a job? Yeah. 2013. Okay. Right. So uh, there was nobody who was making software around you at the time, like no open positions and stuff. Yeah. You're right. Okay. Right. 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 Okay. Um. So so what was your actual first programming job when you started? Uh, what did you do? Mm-hmm. Right, right. Did you have you messed anything up in your early days, like that had business impact? Like, what was your biggest mess up? Right. But there were testers and stuff like that, and everyone missed it. Or yeah, sounds familiar. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um. Yeah, I understand. um. Do you get those tight deadlines these days as well, or how does it compare working back then and now? Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Or trying to fix a problem when there isn't one, and that is just creating a problem instead. Uh, yeah, but don't they analyze things like the reason behind it? Don't they get actual developers together so they can talk and understand what's wrong? Yeah, so does it work that way now as well? So when do you actually estimate? Like, do you estimate like before a whole milestone sprint starts, or do you estimate right before you start working on a specific story? Right. Yeah. What? What the fuck is this kind of sprint? It's not agile. Agile is 2 weeks, up to 2 weeks sprint. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Um, Hardly. I mean, I don't see justification. Just, I guess, undercover waterfall, and just so that it makes people feel slightly better that it's agile, it's modern, but it's not really. It just, yeah. It's quite simple. They're neither. What the hell? So you're s- you're saying a project with 200 developers is no project manager. Okay. Okay. So regarding that shitty part when you act as a support guy, um, how does it happen that you are put as that guy eventually? Like, w- w- you obviously like. Do you agree to that? Like, willingly to be that kind of a guy who? So what happened? You do it, right?
Hot fixes for for prod. That was mine. But anyway, the manager that hired me in for this role, and they were looking in this role for 2 or 3 years. So it wasn't something they just hired in if we get a warm body. It was actually that was what they hired me in to do. Um, but this manager left the department to go to another department, and he said that sorry to do it to you, but it was the best move for him. Thanks. But anyway, when he moved to that other department, the manager that came in was from level one support. So you can imagine when she goes to level two support, she's going to see everyone as support. And that's when it started to change. She started to drive me more into looking into tickets, being on call, doing all the stupid things that support people do. So that's where I stopped looking into code and fixing it into more of I'm going to look at the code but never really touch it.
Right. Would you do anything different? Like you obviously don't like it, but could you have changed anything and maintain your position and keep on doing at least the coding part more?
Uh, you know, there was things I was doing on the side other than just working on this code because the app was I wouldn't say stable, but it's stable enough where it's not breaking all the time. Uh, so what I would do on the side was I would make automation software for them to monitor, which I do it every now and then now, just not as much because I have somebody really breathing down my neck all the time. Um, but I would like this application would have exceptions in it. So I mean an application that was a website that would crawl these logs, and then when these exceptions would come up, it would graph them out, so you can see how much this app is crashing mainly, and you can look at it and say, okay, well, what 'cause you got to remember these are all 300 different libraries that communicated through runtime only. It was the only time they communicated, loaded at runtime and ran and executed. So you had to find a way to find out which library was breaking it and why. What was the message? And that was what this thing did. So I made that, but that was before the manager left. So he was saying he wanted to collaborate with their dev manager to see if we can get something to really flourish here. So that was one of the things one of the big projects I was working on was that like a high level monitoring.
Right, but do you think you
But
could have done anything different not to get in the position you are now?
yeah, look faster. That's I should have saw this coming. When I
Hmm.
found out the new manager was coming, I knew she was from. And I was like, I know what's going to happen next. I should have just right there and then started looking for another job, knowing
So,
to back out.
right, this is the manager we're complaining about, right? This is the same
Correct.
person. Okay.
Yep. This is the one where she wants me to type my activities I'd done through the day. One of these times, I just want to say I played tic tac toe and solitaire all day just to see what she'd do. Um, because it's just a manager that micromanages like this isn't a manager. It's just this is a boss. This is something that devs don't like, right? You don't want
Right.
somebody just constantly looking over your shoulder. What are you doing? What's your damn business when I'm doing?
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
she measures your performance by how many tickets you close, not by what problems you worked out during the day, what you figured out in code. What did I'm too afraid to even learn Angular at work. Put it that way, because how would I put that down? She's going to say, "Well, you didn't do anything but sit there and learn a technology you weren't going to program." Well, yeah, I mean that's what devs do. They learn, you know. But she's not a dev. She's not a dev manager. She doesn't know uh, what it takes to be a dev, really. She just knows that when you close a ticket, that means you're being productive.
uh, Really
So
sucks.
yeah, so my advice is if you go into a job, even if you're in it for a week, a month, but if you know you're not going to be happy, look, look. Then then you can put in your notice knowing that even though you weren't there that long, it's just the job didn't exist, put it that way. But it's one thing I'm learning is to even though I get another job to always look because you never know that one job that you want could be coming knocking on your door. And that
Yeah.
that happened when I joined this job. It was another job came along shortly after I joined this one, but I was out of work for 8 months. So you can imagine you want to take anything that's coming, and you don't want to jeopardize it. But I should have looked at that other job too, even though I was starting this one, just to see what it entailed, because it could have been a job that was a lot of fun.
That's true, but it's so hard to choose when you are being pressured. Um, the
Yeah.
the best way, at least what I do when I'm deciding to quit my current job, I just find the new place in, let's say, a few months of time, and then announce that I'm quitting. But before I do that, I just roll with it. And actually, the best way of quitting a job is by asking for a raise.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, you ask for a raise, you make your conditions, and I mean, if they don't agree, you anyways leave. And if they agree, you can actually, in case you couldn't find a new job, you got a raise. So, I mean,
Yeah, well, see, this is one of those you get quarterly reviews. I hate the reviews, really. But it's like a self-assessment, and then you talk to the manager. They do an
quarterly.
assessment quarterly, right?
Okay.
So you can imagine that, and if you know, it's things like meets all expectations, exceeds all expectation, meets some expectations. It did, and I think the last one was met no expectations. So to me, I've learned this from early in my career because a senior dev told me this, that if you want to raise, jump. Don't be afraid about job hop. He said that's how you're going to get your best raises. And you could probably use
Okay.
that as ammo too. Is say, well, I have a job offer here for 10,000 more a year. You going to match that? No, okay. Then be prepared to walk out.
Yes. Yes.
Because there's one thing that another thing I've learned is that companies aren't loyal to you. No matter how much they talk about it, they they aren't loyal to you. If you were to die tomorrow, they would replace you the next week.
Yep.
There's no loyalty there. So don't think that leaving is going to hurt them. And
Yep.
if it does, well, I mean, that's bad management. That's their problem.
They are manipulative. That's obvious. Because it pays
Right.
better. I mean, it's more profitable that way for them.
That's another thing too. As I watched development go from a technical field to an industry. You know, I grew up in a factory, town, industry. And that's what they do. What they do is they try to work as much out of you as possible, as little pay as they can give you. So beware of that. You try to keep this a tech industry to where it's you're getting paid for your knowledge, not how fast you can write code. So
Damn
the
right.
game, I heard gaming companies do this a lot. Is try to milk as much money out, or as much time out of you. And the way I look at it is, no matter how much you're getting paid, I don't care if you're getting paid $500,000 a year. If you're working 60-hour weeks, that's your life rolling away from you. It's a life rolling away from you to make somebody else rich. So you got to think about that. Work-life balance. You need time to yourself to enjoy what you're doing. You know, uh, you're making the money, but you also want to enjoy the money you're making, and you can't do that by working 60, 80-hour, 120-hour weeks. That's insane. I would definitely put my notice in if I was working that many hours. You know,
That is obvious. Yep.
that's something of when you're in your 20s and early 30s, you don't really think about that much. But I'm in my 40s now, and I'm starting to think, because back then I could work. There was times I had a partnership. I haven't told you that I had a partnership with a friend of mine, and I stayed up 36 hours trying to put a SharePoint site up in Azure. Now looking back on it, when I got it working, but that's 36 hours I could have done something else. It rolled away from me. I'm never getting that time back ever. So, and just so he can make money off it. I wasn't really making as much as he was. So it's like, just trying to keep watch over that. And if you feel yourself being unhappy because the job just isn't fulfilling, it's time to move on.
Yeah, it is. But it's hard for young people to make a move on because
Yes.
for multiple reasons. First reason is that you get attached to the place. Second is that you will have that imposter syndrome. You're afraid that you just got used to the code that you're working with, and if you change your workplace, there'll be a lot of new learning again, and maybe won't be
Right.
good enough.
And that's the
So
thing. You got to think of it that way too. Um,
yeah,
you were like that when you started this job. You panicked, but you learned, and you were fine. You adapted. You're absolutely fine. So you can do it again. Next thing you know, it's like a war, right? You get shot at the first time, you're scared, but after the 50th, 60th time of looking at it, yeah, whatever, you know. And not saying that you're going to go through 60 jobs, but you may go through 60 projects in your career easily, jumping one project to the next. Each one is the same thing. You open it up and panic. I don't know anything about this stupid thing. I don't know how it works. Who wrote this piece of crap? All that comes through your mind as you open this project, but you learn it. Then you're like, okay, I see what they're doing here, and then you just pick through it. It's like learning anything in life. You're gonna life is full of change, so adapt, move on.
That's true.
But being away from code and actually opening it up again and looking at it and just dealing with it and dealing with the problems and working through it and being frustrated, I miss that. That's one thing that I did miss, and that's why I'm trying to get back into it again. I don't see how I don't see how people my age go to lead and want to be happy with that and just step away from their code. I don't see that. I don't see how that could be fulfilling unless you want to be a manager. Hey, you know what? Yeah, people are like that. They want to be a manager, be a manager. You want to be you know, whatever, a CEO, be a CEO. I'm not against that at all, but everyone that I talked to that went from dev to lead hated that. They got a little bit more money, but they stepped away from their code when they did it.
Would you like to be a manager?
No, I was a manager when at my time away from factories. I actually worked at a convenience store. And worked at two convenience stores. One I was assistant manager, and the other one I was a manager on. I don't want to be a manager. There's too much responsibility for the pay you get. Be a manager.
Right. Okay.
Then, and I'm a logical guy. I'm I'm friendly to a point, but I think that's where managers. But that's probably what drained me on the manager. When I was worked a manager there, I was working 15-hour days, 7 days a week. So home was it's just a memory to me. I was there just to sleep, go back to work,
Mm,
and that's what I said. That I'm not going to ever be a manager ever again. So when that position is offered to me at any of these jobs, I always say no because I know I want to code, and titles don't mean anything to me. They're just words.
yeah, and actually they're sometimes for the worse because you feel like you're in power sometimes, so it can damage you as a person, like personality wise.
Yep, always be humble because one
Yeah,
day all of it could leave you. So
yeah,
always be humble.
yeah.
Or, there's an old saying I heard, and it makes a lot of sense. It's that uh, the feet you're stepping on today be being connected to the ass you're kissing tomorrow. So,
Yes. Yep.
so, and I'm a guy that I don't think a manager is above you. I think there's a responsibility is to oversee what you do. That doesn't mean they're your boss. So,
Yeah.
I, as you get older, you start to see the managers in that light. They're not the intimidating boss that you have to please. This is the person that's your equal. It's just their responsibilities are a little different than yours, and they can fire you. Whoopee, right? You're dev. You can go anywhere. Honestly, at that point in your career, you can go anywhere. So,
True.
honestly, I could probably if I wanted to work out of the house, I could probably get a job in a couple weeks. It's just I get probably 50 emails a day from people that want to offer me jobs. It's got to be remote. So I got a job. I don't really need one right now. So I'm being picky on purpose, right? Because I want to work at home. I want to do this certain field. I don't want to learn Java. I don't want to learn that. Well, you need to know Java. Well, then you keep looking. I don't want that. It's just you'll learn what you like and you don't like in your careers. Where you stand firm on. That's one of them. Why learn Java? C# does the same thing. you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
But hey, I understand what you're doing. It's a whole different story with you. That's
Yeah.
I'm not. What do we? There is no right or wrong in this life.
I'm doing this for a purely teaching job because, like, it's a global organization that offered that offer. So I
Yeah.
don't think such offers really uh, come that easily. So I am not letting it go that easily. I'll at least give it a chance, give it a go.
Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
That's
yeah.
Reward comes from risk. So,
Exactly. Anyways, Stale asked, I'll quote his sentence. He said he just had his first C sharp job a few months ago, and
Mhm.
feedback that he got is that they think that he is doing good, but they think that he has high expectations on himself.
Oh,
So he
okay.
always told them that he wants to be really good at what he's doing. So that's just naturally what he has to do, he thinks. Do you have any advice for him?
Um, I would say that if you want to be a master at C sharp, be a master C sharp. Um, I went down the route of trying to make my stack horizontal, and uh, I went from VB. I think I looked over at PHP. I looked at a lot of other different languages, but then I decided, I'm not going to make it a master of all, a master of no trades and a jack of all, whatever the hell that saying goes. Anyway, I decided to narrow down my field. I looked at only at Microsoft, and I became really good at SQL Server, um, SSRS, SIS, workflow, WPF. So I've concentrated my efforts into one place. I narrowed them down, and some people say it could be bad, and some people say it could be really good because you're really specialized in one thing.
All right.
So I would say if you want to be a master at C sharp, go for it because I've learned VB to the point where I took a proficiency test on it and I was like right below master on VB. I didn't know any C sharp at the time, none. I in fact at 2012 was when I started to learn them. So that's the nice thing about it. When you master a language, the other languages don't seem that hard to learn because it's
Yes.
code, right? It's all the
Yes.
same.
Yes.
It's just nuances, right? Um, In
Yeah.
fact, I didn't really get into JavaScript until 2012. And that kind of came after I learned C sharp. I was like, well, let's look at JavaScript. So, well, it's really the same thing. It's just a little different. But mainly, one plus one still equals two here. It's not vastly different.
I wouldn't be
Um,
so sure about JavaScript.
there's places where now it's grown. In 2012, Knockout was the big thing, right? It was very
Oh
slightly
no.
JavaScript, right? I started to look at that, and I didn't really get into it till like 2015. But um,
By the
JavaScript,
time it deprecated.
right, it's gone now. Really, it's but after and now like I started with BB, and now I've learned C sharp. I still know BB. I still try to keep in touch with it, even though it looks like Microsoft is leaving it to waste. But I still keep in touch with that. I went over to SQL. SQL's a little different, but same thing. It's just you know.
Yeah.
So I just say that if you want to be an expert at C sharp, be an expert at C sharp, and don't be afraid to tap into the languages. But just know that if you think that going after C sharp and C sharp alone is going to kill you, it won't. There's always going to be a need for it.
Yeah, that's right. Like right now the job offers even for COBOL, a system that was released like 40, 50 years ago. So maybe
Yeah,
40 years ago. So I mean,
yeah. COBOL that was 60 something. So it's been out a long time.
yeah. And Microsoft technologies are spread widely across, so it's not gonna die. It's like JavaScript at this point. It's just not gonna be dead ever.
No, and you're going to hear fears about there, and especially this clickbait that says, well, Microsoft may drop C sharp in 20 years, and something, or not 20, about 5 years or something like that, or Python may overtake. Languages are going to come and go, and you're going to have languages just stick around. And I don't think everyone I talked to that worked with C sharp liked it, whether they came from BB, uh, name Java, JavaScript. It's just it's a nice language.
Yep.
y- and that's like I said, the job I'm in now. They hired me in because I'm a Microsoft guy, so I'm very specialized in Microsoft. That's why they hired me in here. So that you don't think you're probably gonna be passed over jobs that want what's this call it an overpaid engineer that works 2 or 3 job titles. That's your full stack mainly. A lot of your full stack are 2 or 3 jobs stuck into one. They call it full stack so they don't have to pay as much, but it's actually 2 or 3 jobs. You're doing front end design. You're doing database. That right there is 2 different jobs. You're doing back end design. Like service. That's a job too. So you get just keep that in mind. Some of these full stacks they're gonna want to. They're trying to get 3 people out of one person.
That's
So
true. That's true. And sometimes on top of that, direct communication with a customer, and like if anyone includes that in their job description, it's a red flag. And hell no, hell no. There should be no communication between developer and customer. And if there is,
yeah,
you're fucked. That's
yeah,
basically it.
yeah. There's some jobs I've passed on that were full stack, and there's jobs I went to interviews on full stack, and when they start talking to me, it's like, well, you told me full stack. I was thinking ASP.NET, SQL Server, some maybe JavaScript on the front end. If they wanted not only to know that, they wanted you to know like another type of database, PHP. This isn't full stack. Now you're starting to tell me that I'm supposed to be a master at everything. No, it's too much. Um, yeah,
Exactly.
don't just be if you I would say seek as much as you can on C sharp. Become a master at it. Learn the nuances of it, and you can take that going to other languages. It will come in handy.
Damn right. Um, so you've been with learning programming, well, exposed to programming for more than 20 years now. And do you still get those aha moments when
Oh yeah, oh
learning
yeah.
something? And how does that make you feel? Like, or what was your most recent moment?
My most recent moment is just learning Angular right now, and just having that aha moments like, oh, okay, I see how that works. That's pretty neat. So yeah, I still get those aha moments. It keeps programming interesting because you're still learning. That's a good sign that you're still learning. It's like, oh, okay. Um, that's why I like working with other people too, because they'll have another take on it. They're gonna look at something different than me, and when they have their take, I look at it, and sometimes I learn just by the way they code it. Oh, I never even thought of doing it that way. That's another tool I'm gonna put in my tool belt. Never be afraid to look it over people's shoulders and see how they do things. Sometimes a different perspective is a good thing.
That's true. So, do you have anything that you consider was like your biggest programming breakthrough when you figured something out and that changed the way you think, or you found, like, read about something? I don't know. Something that basically changed the way you think in programming.
Uh, well, I would think the more recent ones would be Bright Script. um, so yeah, if you ever heard of Bright Script, this was a lot of like help. If you see like things behind the help desk on a TV, that's written in Bright Script. Like the little
Bright script.
marquees. Bright Script, right?
Okay.
Yep. And what Bright Script is a kind. You think Java's bad? Try Java mixed with VB mixed with JavaScript. That's Bright Script. Literally, you say dim thing as something, and then you put a curly bracket underneath it.
Oh god.
So you're combining Visual Basic and a C style language. And then there's things where like you can like just like JavaScript, it's not type safe. So you can say, well, one, like a one string plus two, well, that equals three, because it'll convert that string right over to a number, just like JavaScript would. And these are what your Roku's run off of, by the way. It's Bright Script. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a different language. I think that's where I had a lot of aha moments trying to program a Roku app, and that was kind of fun until they changed the SDK. Now it's more Bright Script versus XML. So that's
Oh
when I stepped
god.
out of it. So maybe someday I'll get back into learning that because building Roku apps was kind of fun. It's just there's no emulator for them, so you have to build it. I just I don't know, determination. Just like you just got to know how to code it out, and then you deploy it over the Roku and try it out. And if it doesn't work, well, now you okay. What's the log say? Then you go over here and code a little more and deploy it again. I hate doing that. It's one of my pet peeves. But
Uh, yeah, I get it. Um,
well,
so regarding that, what do you think is your biggest achievement in programming,
oh boy.
in career or something?
I guess my biggest achievement would be. I think I told people about this one. Was it was building a website that would they at the time they used Bing, so it would use a Bing map,
Yes.
and the company had like 3,000 trucks on GPS. So what I made an app do, and this was all website with JavaScript, no frameworks. It was just JavaScript, HTML, and ASP. And what it would do was it would yank the data from the GPS. And at the time, I think they're using some online database. So I think it was Azure. They didn't want to tell you, but that's where they made the footprints. So when a truck goes along, it would ping this company's service every 3 seconds, and it would put breadcrumbs into a database. So you can actually trace what that truck did the entire day, or last month, or a year ago, what
Mhm.
they did. So what I was just getting the latest breadcrumb, and I did this for 3,000 trucks. So I had to go through every franchise, find the truck number, find the ID that their GPS thing used, go into this database, query for it, and then I would place it on this pin on the map, and the map would just be the entire U.S. as these things would move around every 3 minutes. Then it would that was the first version of it, and then I would make it where it would zoom into a certain one of the towns, and it would show it up close of the trucks moving around. And it would zoom back out and zoom into another town, and it was all random. Just randomly picked a town and zoomed in and out. It would do that indefinitely. That was my greatest achievement. Was doing that all with JavaScript.
So, like, poor man's Google Maps almost for tracking trucks.
Yeah, you can think of it that way. Is you use the API, and it was Bing's API. It's similar to Google's, where you just
Mhm.
you send up a bunch of coordinates to Bing, and you label the pins, and you put little icons on them. And mine was their their logo icon, and it had a little arrow pointing down to where the truck would be.
Right.
So it was you just every three minutes I would throw up another bunch of things into the map, and it would draw it out, and it was all done to the web page. And this is all because they didn't know Bright Script. There's the Bright Script again, right? They didn't know Bright Script. I didn't know enough of it to make a program do this. So they said, hey, we can do websites. Let's have it do that. So I made this whole thing, and I showed it on the computer, and they were like, this is awesome. And then they put it on this thing, and it choked. It couldn't run it. So I guess there wasn't enough CPU in there to make it run. It's made to do static and really minor like flips and I don't know slides and
Right.
stuff like that. So it wasn't
Oh
really made to
shit.
do this robust program that I made into it. But they still keep it around. I heard that they're going to do is put another screen up there and connect it to a computer and just have that thing run in the background all day. So I haven't heard much after that. I still keep in touch with a couple people there, but I haven't asked that question if it's still around or not.
That's
Huh?
awesome.
Yeah, it was actually a real fun project.
How long did it take you to make? Like, what was the scope? Were you doing this alone?
Oh, geez, I think they gave me like 3 months to do it because I at the time I was really new to JavaScript, so I did so I didn't know really where to go with it. Um, Luckily, there was somebody that sat right next to me. My lead, he was a JavaScript guru. Plugins and jQuery, all that fancy stuff that you do with JavaScript in 2012. I don't know what they do now, but so he would teach me how to do timing, how you do the timing, how not to do timing, and how to pull Ajax posts and stuff like that. So his help helped me guide me to the logic, but it was really it's like after I got it, I was like, okay, I think I know what to do now, and just program away. But the whole thing was slated for 3 months. I got it done in about a month and a half. After I started to learn how JavaScript worked, it was just off to the races.
Right. Okay. Um, so based on your experience, what would you advise to people who are just getting into programming?
Oh, okay. Don't be afraid to try new things. That's one thing that held me back in my career was uh, when I started looking. It was I had to be a VB guy. Couldn't be anything else but VB. And well, this is a C# shop. Oh crap! I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm going to have to pass. It was deepening up of why don't I just try it? Worst thing that could happen is you fail. You know what? We fail a lot in life. That's how you learn. You
Yeah.
know. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Just go forward into the great beyond. And if anything, you're going to find out that you don't want to do whatever they had you doing. That's the worst thing that could happen. Nope, this isn't going to work. I'm trying something else.
Right.
But always put one foot in front of the other and keep going. Don't let you know don't let somebody say something to you that's going to hold you back because they don't control your life. You do. So that's something in my career I've learned is that if they call you a crap programmer, doesn't mean you are. It's just that's their opinion. So shake it off, keep going.
Hell yeah. What about people who are stuck? What would you tell? Like, how do you what do you do when you are stuck? What would you
Stuck as in
advise?
stuck on some logic or stuck in something else.
Let's say a problem that you feel like you cannot solve, like you haven't made progress in a long time. What would you
Oh God,
do?
yeah, I've been on those, man. There's one I was stuck in a problem for at least a month, only because, and I think a lot of it is you can't be afraid to ask for help. Just because they gave you an assignment doesn't mean you got to pound it all out yourself. There's times
Yes.
where you just got to ask somebody, "Hey, man, I am stuck. I cannot figure this out." And you're going to find out that having a different perspective is what all made all the difference. You're looking at it one way and only through one pane of glass. They look through a different window and seeing it completely different, and that right there broke the roadblock. Um, that's one thing I would advise is never be afraid to ask for help. It does not mean you're a bad programmer. It means you're a good programmer. You're
Yep.
willing to get help to get the job done.
Yep. And don't think that they're stupid questions. If
Nope.
you have a question, just ask, and it it has a reason.
And just because I programmed for 20 years doesn't mean I have to know everything.
Yeah.
I don't have, don't think that because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to know everything about it. There's going to be things you don't know, and that's okay. That just means that you're still learning. And that makes it fun.
Yep.
And I've ran into a lot of egotistical programmers that think that if you told them something they didn't know, that they knew it already. Oh yeah, I know that already. Well, obviously you didn't. You didn't do it. I mean, so don't try to get a big head and think you know everything. Don't think you feel like you know it. You have to know everything because you never will. Technology moves so damn quick that by the time you learn something, you're already behind. So don't be intimidated by it. Don't worry, we're back there. We're right behind you, running with you, trying to catch up with everything else.
Yep. Um. So what do you think? Since you like you at least it seems that you are a person who likes seeing the results of his work quite
Yes.
fast. That fascinates you. That motivates you. What do you think? Why did you choose to be a uh, more? I understand you're more of a back end developer than front end.
Right. Yep.
So why did you choose that path of back end instead of front end, more design?
Hey. I think it's the introvert in me. I like to be the guy that makes the car run, but you never really see the car running. You don't see the engine mostly; it's always hidden. And that's the guy that I like to have that role, make things move, and really don't really get the credit for it because the people on the front end are the ones making it look all pretty, and
Mm.
it's fine with me. I don't need the recognition. That's fine. That's why I like that. When I go out and I see that working, it's like, yeah, there you go. Look at that thing go. You know, that makes it fun.
Okay, nice. Uh, so basically, if you are more of a type who, so to whom would you advise choosing backend, and to whom would you advise choosing frontend?
Well, I would say that if you liked if you like the pretty things, that's what I would think. That's what I kind of put it down to. I watch people, the ones that are, I wouldn't call it I wouldn't call it organized because, at home I am not organized, but in my code, it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
But people that are that way, where you look at their desk and they have a pin in their certain spot, they're going to put that pin in that spot every time. Those are the ones you want on the front end. They're the ones that are going to take attention to that detail. That that
Right.
you know will nitpick it with a fine
Pixel
tooth comb.
perfect.
Yeah, and those are the type of people. I don't. I've worked with people that was their department. Their department was front end. They come to me with a picture, and then I make the website look like that picture. I didn't design the front end. I could do it, but I wasn't in charge of making the colors because if I made it, it would be like yellow and black with red text. It looked ugly as hell. I could not do front end. I, that's just not where I'm at. But as far as back end, if you think like I would say, the closer you think to a computer, the more back end you're going to want to be. So
Right.
if you think that you can't get out the door until you brush your teeth. You got to get up, brush your teeth, do everything in that same order every time. That's pretty much back end right there. Logic. To me,
R-
that's where I don't know if you saw me in chat. Quantum physics way over my head. I know I'm never going to understand it, even if I wanted to, because it's illogical to me. Completely, doesn't make any sense. It's like, uh, you know, it's like throwing feathers in the air and expecting them all to land in a pile. Doesn't make sense to me. So I like things with certainties. I like things with here's my input, here's my output. I just got to figure out the middle part. That's the back
right.
end.
Right.
So
Okay.
I'm not saying that you're ever going to find a job that's only back end. Most of the time, you're going to be back end and do a little front end. But
Mm.
90% of jobs you're going to see out there mostly back end. You're going to be dealing with getting that data out of the whatever, some data store, a flat file, who knows, um, or maybe even churning through data. That's all back end stuff.
Right. Have you ever gotten like a massive advice that's still stuck on you to this day? Do you remember any?
Um, a few of them in through life is like I guess some of the things I've said, like just because you don't figure something out doesn't mean you're bad. Just means you don't know.
Right.
That's one of the advices I've stuck with me a lot is that. And another one is, don't let somebody else define you. Never let somebody else, you define you. So if somebody calls you a terrible this or that and you're not, you got to just say that's opinion. There's no evidence to back that up. I am me. don't don't try to be someone you're not. And I see that a lot in programmers. So I've put it this way: I worked with a programmer that would write on a window because he saw that on Big Bang Theory. They wrote on clear things. That, all the smart people wrote on clear blackboards and stuff. So that's what he did. And believe it or not, he pulled out a whiteboard and drew calculus on the damn thing to work on a front end. Why? Why do you need calculus to work on a front end?
What?
Why? Because people that do calculus on a whiteboard mean they're smart. Oh, okay. So I guess you're smart, and the rest of the devs are stupid because we don't do calculus on a whiteboard. Um, so what I'm saying is he was putting on an act to put on a front to show he was smart. Every time he took a chance, wrote on a window, some stuff on a window that he was explaining to me, things like that. And I don't like that. I don't feel you're genuine. You know,
Wow.
'Cause to me, nobody's really smart or dumb. It's just how much you know, right? And people are going to know more about things than others. And that's okay because, I've talked to people that are really, really, really good programmers, but you tell them to fix a car and they'll have the door off, wondering why how to change a tire. They have no clue,
Right.
which is
I,
fine.
I'm one
There's
of those
places for
people.
people just like that, right?
Yes.
Stick them in an OS, make a new OS out of that. Hey, you got a place in the world for you. Don't worry. Um, yeah, you don't have to be the best at everything you do. It's okay.
Yes. Or if you are a programmer, you must know how to fix a printer, how to
Yeah.
uh, install whatever software there is, how to clean a computer of
Uh,
viruses, like
you,
troubleshoot everything computer related.
I'm telling you, the last, how I clean my computer, I wipe it down and I get a little air and I blow it out. Other than that, I don't think I ever even opened this damn thing unless it's like put a video card in it or change something. I don't know. I don't know the inside of this thing. I was afraid to build the damn thing. I didn't know how to
Yes.
pick anything out. I am not a hardware guy. I gave up on that, and like mid '90s when all of a sudden I don't know if you ever remember the little dial-up modems, how they used to have the card, right? Right around the mid '90s, that card actually moved into part of the CPU. The CPU actually had a dial-up modem built into it,
Okay.
and from there, I looked at this. I'm not keeping up with this crap. It's too much. You know, I mean, CPU power was doubling every 6 months. I couldn't keep up with it. New memory was coming out every other year. It was too much. So I just gave up on hardware. I'm just going to fully concentrate on my hardware or software. That's a big, but yeah, and I just let hardware go. Somebody else will do it for me. So
Right.
when the next build comes up, I'll ask somebody, and I'm sure somebody that loves hardware, they're gonna love to build that thing for me.
Right. So, but
Yeah.
do people still have expectations from you, like
Oh, you
regarding
better
those?
believe it. Oh yeah.
How
You
do you
know,
deal with it? What do you tell them? Like, what is the best reply that you think?
best reply I've
Yeah.
done, I just look at them. Don't say a word, just stare at them. Don't have a response. Most of the time I just say I'm a software guy. I don't know a damn thing about hardware. You're talking in a realm I have know nothing about. Um, it's like race cars trying to talk about semis. They're not. Race car drivers don't know anything about semis. So it's just
Hmm.
it's just that's kind of how I respond to it. Um, I don't have anything against hardware people. Just not. I don't know anything about them, and that's okay. It's good to know your limitations.
Yeah, that's very, very good. I'll unmute now other people, so maybe they have questions for you.
Sure.
Uh, Speak. If you rejoin, you should be able to talk. Guys, can anyone talk? Maybe not. I think you can. You should be able to, because I turn it off. The blocker. Maybe I need to enable explicitly. I turned it on. You should be able to talk.
Well, I see a couple people off mute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like they're able to unmute.
If you leave the room and come back in, mute yourself, you're able to.
Okay.
Yo, yo, yo.
Hi. How's it
Hey.
going?
Hello. I think someone had a question in VC text.
Yes. So, Alpha 7 asked, did you get into security or mobile development at one point? What's your opinion on them?
I got into a little mobile development when I was at the job I was in 2012. That's when Xamarin was still Xamarin, owned by some company I can't place. But we were trying to make this app that was a Windows Form app for Android, but we wanted to make it native to Android. Um, I found it kind of interesting to how Android's ecosystem worked. I guess you can say it was weird. It was similar to Windows Phone, but they had like intense, and there was a couple other things I can't place any in at the moment. Um, but I don't mind when mobile development. It just seems like the real estate's so small on those. You're trying to pack a bunch of stuff in a small spot. That was the only, I guess, downside of mobile.
Right.
But security, I haven't tried security.
So have you had any those massive security flops when something is so important but it's unprotected, or like SQL
Uh,
injection, any exploits like that?
one job I was at, I worked on an inventory system. I try not to do something like that myself, but um, what they were trying to do is create a single sign-on. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the time, I guess, OpenID was starting to come out. It was 1 point something at the time, so it was still new. But what they do is they would go into a website and they would try to pass this token off to another thing, but the token was unencrypted, and the URL had your username and password in it. So when you type in my username and password, hit enter, all of a sudden you see the redirect. Your password equals this, or username equals this, and password equals that. I'm just looking at this going, okay. So hey, why don't you type your username and password in there? Maybe I can log into your computer and do whatever I want with it. Yeah, so that was a big security flop that I've seen. I haven't really, most of the time when I get on the projects, that security part's already done, so I never really
Mm,
worked with them.
mm,
I'm the type of guy though that when it goes to security, if it's like say it's ASP, I'll start up an ASP website, say I want this and this and that, and I let it do its security for me. I don't try to go into it too much because
right.
because of that. I don't want to expose. It's like these people thought the template out. I'll trust them on it.
Right. Faz was talking about the funny discovery that he had. That basically, there was a security company that, has cameras set up, and it tracks basically people through cameras, right? And then there
Okay.
is API to which you can for which you can literally fetch the live video, live stream of camera. So basically, they forgot to secure it. So you could sniff the traffic of those requests, and just literally uh, see other people through those sniffed requests, because it's unsecured. If you put a request in your browser, you literally see the camera stream.
Oh, so there's no
Yeah.
security built into these things, huh?
Yeah, there wasn't at the time. They just forgot.
I there at one time I saw a video about this, and I'm sure it's still around, but it was something you can type into a search engine. It was, let's say you just want to look at people's homes, right? So you
Mm,
put this and Wi-Fi or some other thing after it, and you actually tap into people's homes and look through their cameras inside their house because it's unsecured.
what?
See, still possible. So I think it's insane. I don't know why anybody would want cameras in their house like that, but
Like,
I guess
even if it was secure, like, people could probably abuse that to their own needs.
that's it. Yeah, dude, that's crazy. That's probably one reason I will never have a camera inside the house. It's just I don't know why I would need one. I guess if you had like a nanny cam,
Jesus.
um,
Dorking? Okay, that's the term. If you Google up
dorking.
dorking, yeah.
Yeah, I know I haven't had any security flops luckily in my career, but I have seen like really goofy ways of people doing authentication instead of just using tools that are there. They try to create their own, and I think that could lead to bad things and down the road.
Yeah. uh, well, but I guess also in big companies, it's like really maybe even overly rigorously looked at, the security part, because like for me at work, like we're not even allowed to like, no developer is allowed to have access to QA environment.
Yep.
You can't even read the logs. You need to contact someone else, someone from platform build. It's like,
Yep. In fact, that's well here that's PI, what they call PII compliant. and that is any dev cannot have any access to any production data. QA sometimes uses production data to test with, so therefore you can't have any access to it. That's why. I've worked in companies where they actually use prods. They use real people, social security number, first name, last name, address. They put all that crap in QA. And as a dev, obviously you aren't supposed to see that because you can put a little back door in there and do whatever. But even today, I'm here. I'm a dev. I'm watching social security numbers. I'm watching account numbers. I'm watching account balances. All this stuff coming through email. I'm looking at, and I remember talking about this. Is this legal? Can they pass social security numbers and stuff like that through
How
email?
do you see it through email? Well, can you? I don't get it.
It'd be like customer has a problem. Here's social security number, account balance. Put all that crap right there. And I'm just sitting there looking at this and going, why do I even know this? I shouldn't even know this.
Yeah, that is true.
But I guess I'm the exception because I'm support. I don't know. I just know that as a dev, I'm not supposed to be able to see this stuff. If I was really malicious, I could probably ruin their life. But yeah.
Wow. The power, the responsibility.
Yeah. And, I don't really have any interest in if somebody makes more than me, that, hey, more power to you. Don't really care. But I don't feel that I need to ruin your life to get ahead, you know? I guess I remember I had an argument with this somewhere on the internet, and that is your true power in life isn't how many people you can step on to get up. It's how many people you can raise with you as you move up in life. That's where your true power comes in. Oh, I actually use that as one of my what do you call those little sayings, little signatures you have is to success is measured by how many people you help succeed with you. Oh, that's just me, I guess.
I mean, I agree to that. I mean, I like the saying. I just wish that more people would think that way.
I
Be
think
better.
our society is just it's formed in a way to where we're put against each other.
Yeah.
You could say it's like a Hunger Games, I guess, right? We're all competing.
Competitive.
Yeah, even in your dev team, right? You guys are competing to get the next raise, so you're always in competition. And I think it's just
Yeah.
conditioned. You're
Yeah.
conditioned to think, uh, if I have more money than so and so, I'm better than them.
Mm.
And I've talked to homeless people. Um, I've talked to people that worked in factories. There's some really smart people out there. Just because they don't have the money doesn't mean they're dumb. They'll
Yeah.
surprise you. Yeah, and and I think that I forgot there was J.P. Morgan even said it. He says with our superior intellect. Well, really, because you have money, you have superior intellect, huh? Okay, sure. But yeah, I have to say I have to disagree. Just because you have money, you have superior intellect.
Collaborative instead of competitive is way to go.
Yeah, and that's why I think GitHub's a good thing because it opens that door up where you can collaborate with a bunch of other developers at any skill level, and you just work together and make something. You know, the people that are lower skill level they get to learn, and the people at higher skill level get to teach. And I think that's always a good relationship to have.
Yeah, I agree. Symbiosis when both sides are benefiting and not stomping on one another.
Yeah, and I've been in jobs like that, very toxic environment where it's some guy's got to buck up his ass because you know more than they do, and instead of just asking, they just try to compete with you and try to down you. And I just think, well, what the hell's the point of even working here? You can't share your knowledge, and screw it. I mean, so you shut off. Like you want to compete, then I don't compete. I'll just let you run the whole game. I don't care. You can't lose a game you don't play, right?
Yeah.
So when you get around people like that, just either if you think you can deal with them, stick with the job. Otherwise, I look. It's just one of those. if you're waking up in the morning and you're thinking, oh crap, I gotta go to this freaking place again and deal with these idiots, it's time to move on. And that, yeah, I don't think that at this job, but this job is mostly I wake up and my heart rate goes up immediately. So I'm starting to get anxiety from this job. It's time to move on.
Yeah. How is the job search going?
It's a slow moving, but I mean, the last job took 8 months, so um, this job will probably be the same.
Right. What would you say to your employer if if they were watching this stream?
What would I say? Is that
yeah.
I don't know.
To your current
I'm
employer.
my current employer is
Yes.
just because I'm not pounding a ticket out every second doesn't mean I'm not doing anything.
Right. And to your future employer?
Future employer, hey, try to we're all on the same team. Stop trying to throw us at each other. We're on the same team trying to accomplish the same thing.
Right. Right.
So that would be my future employer. I think I used to think that older people had some balls on them, but I think it's really older people just get fed up. I think that's what they speak more. They speak out more, and some people think they're crazy. And I think it's just because they stop giving a shit, really. And I'm seeing that as I get older. I just stop caring about making everyone happy. There's going to be people in life that you aren't going to make happy, and I'm not going to sacrifice my happiness to make you happy.
Right.
So, and as I gotten older, when these old people kind of lash out, it's funny now. I can see their frustration. And it's one of those. I'm not going to back down because I'm old. Screw you. And it's it's kind of humorous.
Okay.
But that would be the two things I would say. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, that would be all my questions that I had. So if no one else has those questions, then that's all for the interview. Thank you very
Sounds good.
much.
Sure thing, guys. Yeah, I'm always around if you have any questions.